All right, time to talk about the Giants. I'm Tom. I'm back. Giants are 17 and 23 right now. Bit of a rough start to the season. I know Brad and Steves are having a great time watching this, but let's talk about maybe why this team is underperforming. First of all, we had one of the harder strengths of schedule to start the season. I would like to mention that. That's not an excuse, though. I promise it's not an excuse. But as a team, there are several bright spots, in my opinion. Let's first start with the bright spots so I can feel good about something, please. Lamont Wade, breakout season, getting on base more than anyone else in this league. And he's genuinely looked like one of the best hitters on this team. JD Davis, who has been, I think, a below average fielder his entire career, has somehow become the best fielding third baseman in baseball, which is a little weird considering that third base is one of the most stacked positions for defense with guys like Brian Hayes and Nolan Arenado and even Machado. JD Davis is that guy. Jock Peterson just went down with a hand injury. I'll get to the injury problem in a second. That is it. That is the reason we are losing all these games. He's looked good in the peripheral department. The actual stats are not showing it yet, but we will regress to the mean eventually. Kind of want to talk about Michael Conforto and how he's been a little bit of a confusing player. He's been doing Michael Conforto things, swinging and missing a lot, striking out a lot. But, you know, he's been hitting bombs, and I guess that's what he's here for. But I mean, I know average is a bad thing to look at, and I know Brad will kill me about that. But like when you're batting below 200, there's a certain level where you are below replacement level. And I think Michael Conforto has to get the expected batting average up and the regular batting average up. Yastrzemski went down with an injury, another injury that we're talking about. He just came back from that injury. Um, and he's back. I believe it was a hamstring injury. He was looking pretty good to start the season. Tyro Estrada, despite not having the best peripherals, has looked like one of the best contact slap hitters in the game with a good glove out in the field. And I think he's looked like one of the best second baseman, shortstops up the middle. You know how it is in baseball. Now, the brightest point for the San Francisco Giants within the last 2 weeks has been Casey Schmidt, our rookie shortstop. He has looked fantastic since coming up. Obviously, advanced stats are not out. He's only played in about 6 games now. But that is something to keep your eye out for. And I mean, Mitch Haniger also has not reached the at-bat threshold yet. He's also a guy that came off injuries. But let's go ahead and talk about it. Let's go ahead and talk about the problem about the San Francisco Giants. This team is injured. This team is very injured all the time. Jock Peterson has gone in the IL twice. Mike Yastrzemski's been out. Tyro Estrada's been healthy, thank goodness. Brandon Crawford went down with an injury towards the beginning of the season. We had a late start from Austin Slater and Mitch Haniger. The whole team as a whole has been pretty damaged to start the season. And it seems like when all the cylinders are firing, and by that I mean everyone's actually playing baseball at the same time, the Giants win games. And you saw that when we played against the Astros. You saw it when we played against I can't remember the other team, but they look they look compatible. They look like they're actually working for the first time. And it just seems like this is a missing puzzle piece here. And Brad and Steves are saying, Tom, you got to sell the team. You got to sell. There is young talent on this team. I think you have to lock up guys like Tyro Estrada. You have to maybe consider locking up JD Davis, maybe Lamont Wade, but those are all older guys that I don't know if they're going to be around for the rebuild. Casey Smith should replace Brandon Crawford. Brandon Crawford is my favorite player of all time, and I think it's time to move on. Um, we should do a retool. The Giants should absolutely do a retool. I think that's the best thing for them. Let me go to the pitching side of things. Camilo Doval's looked fantastic. Logan Webb has been getting better since his first bit of a rough start. Has looked like one of the better pitchers in baseball since then. Alex Cobb, definitely a bright spot on this team. A bit on the older side for a rebuild, but I think he can stick around for the retool. Desclafani's looked decent. Bit of a shaky start last time around. Other than that, my Sean Manaea take did not age well. Um, some things you just can't fix. Sean Manaea is Exhibit A. We are a pitching factory at San Francisco, but it's not working there for us. But when we're looking at these guys, Tyler Rogers has been pitching really well. Taylor Rogers, despite having one of the worst starts to the season, is now heating up, and he's looked good in his last couple outings. I'm not ready to give up on the team. John Brebbia, want to mention that he's been good. His beard is slowly growing. the team is not necessarily bad, and the fact that this team has the same record as the Washington Nationals is not only embarrassing but also disappointing. I mean, obviously, like um, you can't compare the Giants to the Nationals right now. I think the Giants are in leagues ahead of the Nationals. Don't tell Stubbs I said that. Um, but I just the best step for the Giants here is not to do a fire sale, not to do what the Nats did. The Giants have enough money that in the offseason, obviously this is weaker offseason, but they can go out and try and get some players. We need to retool, sell off the older guys like Alex Cobb. I think would be a good option. Maybe one of the Rogers brothers. Tyler's looked borderline unhittable this season, which is weird to say because he scares me. He scares me a lot watching him pitch. I mean, there's a lot of other guys on this team that you can sell. But I don't want to sell more than 3 or 4 guys from this team because this roster, as constructed, looks good. And let's not forget, although we only have 2 top 100 prospects, they're both in the top 20. So, um, we may not have many prospects, but they look good. There's only a matter of time before they're coming up, and I hope we can maybe restock a little bit with this mini fire sale. Mini, I mean mini, because I swear to God, if we oversell and we do a fire sale and we end up like the Nats, God, that would suck. Um, but in total, Giants bit of a dumpster fire to start the season. But then again, could go on a hot streak, given everyone's healthy at the same time, which is hard to ask for this team. Um, but I'm sticking with my guys. There's definitely some bright spots in this lineup, and I think it's not time to give up yet. Let's talk about my other guy, not a Giant, staying in the West. One of my breakout picks, just want to highlight George Kirby, currently has a 2.4 ERA, only allowing 4 walks and almost 50 innings pitched, looking good again tonight. Um, I think he's going to be in that Cy Young conversation. He's not going to win it, but I think he is in the conversation to finish in the top 10 for Cy Young. He's looked like the best pitcher in Seattle, maybe Luis Castillo as well. Um, so that is aging like fine wine. Just want to mention that. But just going around the league today, Ronald Acuna still looks like the MVP. This is shocking news. Padres got swept by the Dodgers, which is, I mean, I hate both teams, but I hate the Dodgers more. So I mean, I'm a little upset about that. And then I think the last thing I want to talk about today is that Nolan Arenado looks like he's back. It looks like he's finally back. Um, started the season a little cold. Was definitely worried that he was injured. I saw a lot of things on Twitter, saw a video of him like shaking something off. Maybe it was just a pitch that got him inside, jammed him, might have hurt his hand a little bit. But I'm obviously hoping it was not what people were worrying about, and that was, I think, a torn labrum or maybe something in the shoulder. It seems like he's been heating up in the month of May. He's already batting 298 with 14 hits, 5 home runs now. So I mean, definitely getting up there. There's a lot of guys that had cold starts that are now heating up, and I think that's a good thing. Um, I was just looking at Christian Yelich's percentiles, and he looks like on paper one of the best players in baseball, which is weird to say. Again, he's returning back to form, maybe. But other than that, I want to talk about one more guy before I end this part of my section, and that is Adolis Garcia, who I think has been one of the most underrated players in baseball for not only this year but years in past. I feel like he's just overlooked in that Rangers lineup and overlooked in general as a star. I think he's really showing why he belongs in the spotlight. And I think he's escalating to star level, not superstar, not like superstars, but he's elevating into stardom. And I really do think that he has a bright future ahead of him. I'm not sure what the glove looks like this year, but he's always been a good fielder out there. He got a crazy a cannon. But yeah, that's my section. Giants, please retool. Please lock down Estrada for a long contract. Do what the Braves do, man. Just lock these guys down early. Don't make the same mistake as the Nats. Don't be like the Nats. Thank you, Stevs. Um, and I'm not ready to give up on this team. I think there's just it's just too much to give up. But thank you for watching, and Brad will be taking us out for the outro. Thank you, Brad.